Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. It is Halloween. I hope you are enjoying this holiday that we celebrate here in the United States and nowhere else. I hope that you're able to have a good time. If you get to dress up. Get to go trick-or-treating, go trick-or-treating, as long as it's not weird. Hope you watch a Halloween movie. Have some fun. Do it because you only get one day out of the week to be a scary, spooky boy. Or a spooky, scary skeleton. Whatever you want to do, right? That makes you, or that allows you to enjoy Halloween to the best that you possibly can. I encourage you to enjoy this day. And not only is it really a day for all the spooky people out there who like to dress up, who like to be scary, but it's also a good day to enjoy some candy. Listen, I know as adults we should be more mature about what we put into our body and what we should be eating and what we should not be eating. Take me, for example. I had a huge candy problem years ago. I've since been able to cut back on that. Now, here or there, I will indulge and I will absolutely go unrelentingly insane with my candy consumption. I haven't done that too much this year, building up to Halloween, thank God. But today is a day where I think that we're all allowed to indulge in a little bit of candy. There's no better day to do it than Halloween, I think. As long as you brush your teeth, as long as you floss, you use some mouthwash right after, you should be fine. You should not have to worry about your teeth rotting or cavities brewing or forming or, getting into bad habits with candy. And you know what? If you have like a nice, fun size bag of candy, if I was you, I would just kill the entire thing today. And then not have to worry about, continuing to snack on candy for a couple days or so. I would just be done with it. And maybe not just kill it yourself. Maybe share it, split it with somebody, be generous, be sharing is caring. You know what I'm saying? And of course, obviously, if you have trick-or-treaters that come to your door, grant them with some candy and say Happy Halloween. Obviously, you should always do that. But if you don't have that many trick-or-treaters, then indulge a little bit. Indulge, have some fun. Be you. But also, be courteous of others around you. If you're going to share the candy, share the candy. It's always a good thing. Some of my favorite things, well, not really my favorite, but I would say the top things that even exist in the world that have to do with Halloween, are pretty prominent to Halloween. There isn't really many of these things that you do any other time of the year, right, than Halloween. These things I'm about to list and describe are things that make Halloween great, that truly make Halloween and the build-up to Halloween great. Number one is a jack-o'-lantern, right? A jack-o'-lantern, which you carve out of a pumpkin. Now, I could have said pumpkin, but pumpkin is also used in the fall, and we tend to have those in the fall time. You can make pumpkin pies and stuff if you want to, pumpkin bread, pumpkin cookies, sort of things that are made with pumpkin in them, right? But a jack-o'-lantern is one of the top things that exist that are solely only shown around Halloween, that are, pretty much only established and only brought out during Halloween time. That's like the number one thing I think that you can think of that is Halloween, that the jack-o'-lantern pumpkin carving makes Halloween great. It's just a fact. Another thing that is like so, like the top things that deal with Halloween are bats. Whether it be in a movie, a decoration, in an actual house, a movie with a haunted house, bats are like a thing that you can kind of like, it's a visual that means, ooh, spooky, ooh, Halloween. Bats. In real life, bats are bad, right? You wouldn't want to be near a bat, because if you're near a bat, then it's usually not good, right? It's terrible. You don't want to be anywhere near bats because bats spread diseases, and you don't want that. But in Halloween, as a vibe, as an aesthetic, you see bats around by a spooky mansion, spooky house, cave even, and then you're like, sometimes you're like, ooh, that signifies Halloween. Bats. Bats is a big thing out there that you kind of associate with Halloween. Another thing is skeletons. Skeletons are pretty disgusting. They actually kind of make you vomit. Like, if you see a real life skeleton, which a lot of people have not seen, but if you see, let's just say you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be, right? You see a skeleton, a real life skeleton. That is extremely disturbing. Like, that was once a person, and their remains are their skeleton. That is horrific. That is disturbing and something that nobody would ever want to see. If I'm being completely honest. That is the thing that I think, as a decoration is so like iconic when it comes to Halloween, that you can just pinpoint that, oh yeah, it's Halloween, we got skeletons in our yard. That's why we have them, because Halloween. Another thing that is just so, symbolizes Halloween is the character Jack Skeleton from A Nightmare Before Christmas. I've only seen parts of the movie. I've never seen the whole thing. I've seen a little bit, and I'm like, this is kind of good. I'm pretty sure it's a really good film, but I've never seen the whole thing. But Jack Skeleton is an icon when it comes to Halloween. Pretty much embodies it. Whenever you see that face or that lanky body, you immediately think of Halloween and October, at least. That it's coming. I mean, every time I see it, I'm like, it's getting closer. It's almost here. That person embodies Halloween. It's just a thing that we see every year. When that character becomes more and more prevalent, then that means that Halloween is upon us, and that it's time to embrace the spookiness that is coming. Another thing that I think is super iconic when it comes to Halloween is the ghost face. And I mean Scream. the movies, the guy with the ghost mask. It's called Ghostface, or I think he's called Ghostface. But that image is like so like Halloween that you can't get it out of your head. I mean, like there's these movies that are scary movies like Conjuring and like Annabelle, The Nun. Those are scary movies, right? But like they don't really like they don't really resemble Halloween. They just are scary. But for some reason, I think because it's a Ghostface, and I know that Scream, those movies are never like really like released like during Halloween or whatever, but those movies, with that character, that image always kind of just, makes me think of Halloween. And that is along with Jack Skeleton, very iconic in terms of Halloween and what we think of when we think of Halloween. Something that I don't see that much at all, rarely ever anymore, because they just kind of stopped making them and just they just rely on their classics, is the classic like Universal monsters like Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein. Those characters also, to me, at least to me, resemble, I mean, pretty much up with Jack Skeleton. They embody Halloween and the spirit of Halloween. Because like they're like, at least nowadays, they're not really looked upon as like super scary, horrific movies, in my opinion. They're more looked at like Halloween movies, which in a way can be scary, yes, but like not to the fact that it is trying to like actually horrify you or disturb you, terrify you. You know what I'm saying? Like they ain't quite there yet when on the spooky, scary level. They're kind of like, not, I wouldn't say playful, but a little more innocent in a way. Like The Exorcist, that movie is not innocent whatsoever. That movie is meant to absolutely, terrify and horrify your soul. There is no like mistaking when you look at The Exorcist and you're saying to yourself like, this could be a fun movie. This is kind of a fun watch, to be playfully scared, like Wolfman or Frankenstein. Like, no, that movie, The Exorcist, is meant to destroy your soul, actually, terrify you. And in some ways, kind of petrify you, if I'm being honest. I mean, it just, there's nothing about it that's playful and fun. It's all meant to destroy you and make you feel terrified. Like, I can't imagine anybody saying to me, like, hey, what would be fun? For Halloween, we could watch The Exorcist and, like, totally, like, be terrified and then want to go to church right after. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you need to look for God after you see a movie, then that probably is not a good movie to watch. I mean, then at that point, when you're trying to find God, after you watch a super scary, terrifying, horrifying movie, then you probably watched the wrong movie. At least if you're trying to have fun. If you're trying to get your soul spooked, then sure, whatever. If you're not, then, it probably ain't the right movie, if I'm being honest. Wolfman. I mean, we haven't had a Wolfman movie in a long time. The best Wolfman, or werewolf, I should say, that I've ever seen, like, on a screen or on, like, anything really. Video game, movie, TV show. The best one that I've ever seen was probably on it's gonna be like such a bad example, but in Van Helsing, that movie has like my favorite like werewolf design of all time. I mean, I absolutely love it. It is the best. I think that design is just it works. For some reason, it is like not too weird, not too disgusting. The one in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban was pretty good. I'll give you that. But the one in Van Helsing is, in my opinion, really good. That's my favorite. And the werewolf and the Wolfman has got to be like my favorite classic monster ever created. You know, because it strikes a blend of like scary, disturbing, and in a way, kind of fun to watch on a movie. Because of the weakness, he can only be killed by a silver bullet. He's big, strong, he's fast. If he bites you, you'll become infected, and you'll also become a werewolf. It's a fun monster. It's a fun monster to watch people escape from. It's not too creepy. He was always like the Chad of the monsters, the werewolf. And then you got the freak of the monsters. You got Dracula, the weirdo, the one who would suck your blood, and actually gain nutrients from it, and would do it a lot, And Dracula was always like the troubled monster, He was always, fighting with his feelings, fighting for love, in a way kind of misunderstood, or at least they wrote him in that way to be, more relatable. And he was just kind of a creepy guy, if I'm being honest. Dracula was a creep. There's like really no two ways about it but him being creepy. I mean, the fact of him just sneaking up on somebody, biting them in the neck with his fangs, and sucking their blood. There really is like no other way to, I guess, like describe him than being creepy. So if Dracula is the creepy monster, the werewolf is the Chad monster, Frankenstein was just weird. I mean, and the creators made him weird on purpose. I mean, like, I don't know, like, the full exact, like, origin or inspiration of Frankenstein. But I do know that in the movies, he's, like, assembled out of, like, a bunch of people's body parts. And, like, he's created by, like, this mad scientist. I don't know why he even makes him. But, he's just kind of a big, giant, like, very powerful, lumbering Moron. And he just kind of like just grunts and moans and just walks very slow and weird looking, and just like, ew, this is just a weird monster. You got the Chad monster, the creepy monster, and the weird monster, And I guess you can kind of, I know it's not really like one of the main ones in like the classic, monsters, but the Mummy was also a monster that, honestly, if I'm being honest, like, after watching the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, like, there has been no good Mummy movie since. The one with Tom Cruise I never saw, but just kind of like, looks weird to me. Like, it should not have been like that type of movie. The Mummy in the Brendan Fraser movies, to me, was like more of an adventure, more of like it should not be, the way the Tom Cruise one was. The way that they did with Brendan Fraser's movies was adventurous and cool, and I think that plays well and better with the Mummy monster itself than in Tom Cruise's film. That's just me. I'm also not like the biggest fan of like scary movies. So like the more fun the movie is, the better for me. Like there was a commercial or a trailer for Wolfman, It's a new movie that's coming out, just called Wolfman, and it's actually leaning a little bit more towards the scarier side than what I'm used to. So, I mean, if I'm being honest, like I probably would not want to watch it just because like it seems to be a little too scary for me and a thing that I would not enjoy watching. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I think that the Wolfman is the Chad of the monsters. He's the coolest. He to me, um, he gives off the most threat. Like you need to evade the werewolf at all costs because you get bitten, you're gonna become a werewolf yourself. The biggest like, how do you call it? The biggest consequences if come across a werewolf. You know, Frankenstein don't got that. Dracula don't got that. So the werewolf to me was always the one that you had to evade the most, if I'm being honest. Those three monsters, all in, are pretty much like the Mount Rushmore if it was only three heads of monsters. And I guess you could throw the Mummy in there too, but like those three are like the big three when it comes to movie monsters that you can kind of like say resemble Halloween, if that makes any sense. And frankly, they're all in that movie. They are all in Van Helsing, which is, if you think about it, the ultimate like classic monster film of all time. Because all these movies, all these monsters had their own solo movie. And not to say that it was bad or anything, but like they all had their own movie, and this movie, Van Helsing, had them all in it. And I thought that it was miraculous. Like it was an incredibly fun, fun to watch movie, that came out in like it was like early 2000s, maybe 2005, 6, and it was just a badass movie. Like that could be considered a Halloween movie because of just having those three monsters. And then Hugh Jackman is Van Helsing. I mean, what more could you want? I mean, there is like no probably better, monster movie than Van Helsing. If you think about it, I mean, it's just he's got all three of them, and it's just awesome. So I guess you can kind of say like the Van Helsing movie with Hugh Jackman is a movie that you would say resembles Halloween. It's got all like the good monsters in it that you want to see, and it's something that I think holds up. If I'm being honest, holds up. Anyways, moving on. I can't believe this actually happened to me though. I cannot believe it. And you know what? I'll be honest. I didn't think that was going to happen this year, this season in particular. I finally won a fantasy football matchup. I could not believe it. I actually won a fantasy football matchup this week. I don't know how, but I did. And let me just say this, man. When I say finally, I mean finally. Like I did not win a single matchup up until this past week. And let me tell you this, a few weeks ago I said that I was not going to give up on fantasy football. I was not going to give up. Well, the way I check my lineup, the way I look at the players, the way how many times I check on the app, one could argue that I might have given up. And let's be honest, when you're 0 for 7 in a fantasy football league and there is no sign of you getting any better because you have no good players and everybody that's on the waiver wire, all the players that are available are absolute dog shit. And you have a lot of people that are in your league, and good players are just very, very, very rare to come up to come up on. What you drafted is what you're gonna get, and you ain't gonna get much more. If I'm being completely honest, like I think that at this point, no one's gonna make a trade, right? Nobody's gonna wanna, you know, because whoever we got is all we got. And being in a league with 14 people, I have noticed that no one makes trades because nobody can afford to give up anybody because there is literally nobody left. You know, I just happen to be in the most unfortunate position of all time when it comes to managing a fantasy football team, where Christian McCaffrey has not stepped foot on a football field, and Nico Collins, who was a steal up until he got injured, is still injured. And I have not been able to have any, luck with fantasy football at all, besides for this past weekend, which I'll be honest, shocked me. I mean, completely shocked me. Thank you, Pittsburgh's defense, for getting me that win. It was much needed. I mean, I'm on the verge of not caring about fantasy football. I mean, how could you when you're 1-7? But it definitely does feel good to actually, come out with a win. Not just saying that I earned the win. No, ain't no way I earned that shit. But I got lucky enough to win, and it was a long time coming, if I'm being completely honest. And honestly, I did not think that it would come. I was prepared, and I was preparing myself to go the entire season without getting a single win because there was just no hope for me. Everyone I saw, every matchup I faced was projected higher than me. None of my players were showing up. My bench has like nobody. I got nobody on my team. So it's like, even if I'm like, even like if one person on my team is on a bye, and then I'm in deep shit. If I'm being honest, I'm in some deep shit because I have no options when it comes to my fantasy team. So thank God, thank Christ, that I was able to eke out a win because, to be honest, I did not see it coming. It's really bad. It's really bad when you give up that early into a fantasy football season. When you just look at what you got and you're just like, I just don't got it. I just don't got it. And I was pretty much saying that to myself for about 2 weeks at the point. I looked at what was available and I looked at what I got. And I said to myself, I was like, self, you ain't got shit. You ain't got nothing. And I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do. And it's terrible. It's not the way to go through a season. It ain't the way to play fantasy football. It ain't the way to have your outlook on, to live your life on. But there ain't nothing you can do. Truly, there's nothing you can do, except I guess hope and pray that some of your guys actually play better than what they're supposed to. And luckily that happened this week, and I was able to actually get a win. So I just want to shout out my team. I know that they'll never ever hear this, but they kind of, not to say that they have to hear this, but this week was needed. Not necessarily for me, but my team definitely needed it. I had to get a win. You just got to see yourself get a W. Every so often, and thank God it happened this week because I mean it was getting very, very, very dark in that in my fantasy football app. I want to talk a little bit about Black Ops 6. Whew. Now, if you were, tuned in last week, you know that I ranted about Black Ops 6 and that I was expecting it to not be a very, very decent game. And, this might all be just honeymoon phase with a new Call of Duty because, I was sick and tired of Modern Warfare 3. I was actually sick and tired of Modern Warfare 3, and I was just, I was done with it. I didn't want to touch it anymore. Condemned it a long time ago. And I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I truly don't care about this game at all. So much to the point where I was just like, you know what? Give me Black Ops. Fine, whatever. I'll take it. I'll try Black Ops for what it is, even though I'm not a Black Ops guy. I don't really care that much about this year's Call of Duty. I played the beta. I was not, impressed. I was actually disappointed. You know what? It's free, right? I have Game Pass. I already paid for the subscription, so the game is pretty much free, So I booted it up, played it, multiplayer, with friends. I have to say, it's not bad. It's so far it's pretty good. And the multiplayer for me was what we got in the beta, and it's pretty good. I can't lie. I think that it's actually decent. The gameplay, gunplay, the progression so far, the guns that they have, the maps are pretty good. I can't lie. I was expecting it to be not very good. Expecting it to be kind of, more of the same of the beta. Just not that great. Just okay. But it is pretty good. I can't lie. It's actually better than I thought it would be, which puts a smile on my face. It actually makes me, it actually makes me happy that I'm enjoying the game because, coming from, someone who didn't care about the beta, I was actually concerned if I was going to be able to enjoy the game or not. And of course, you want to enjoy these games. You want to actually play a game that is enjoyable. You don't want to. I don't set out on a quest to want to hate games. I really, really don't. I want to play games because, one, I like to play games. Two, I think that the game is going to be good, and I want the game to be good. Every game that I touch, every game that I spend my time on, and occasionally money, I want it to be a good game. And I want it to be a game where me and my friends can have fun on. So far, in the multiplayer of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, that is what I'm seeing. That is what I'm feeling, which is good. I don't... We can't have... no one wants a bad game. We just don't want a bad game. And if this game continues the way it's going, it should be a solid game. It really should be a solid game. I don't think that it could get worse from here because I think that once they show us what they have, I honestly don't think it could get that much worse. If I am being completely honest, I really don't think so. So that's good. That's what you want to see in multiplayer. You want to see what they can build upon, And right now, I think that the game is very, very, very solid. And all the game modes that we've played, Demolition, Team Deathmatch, Search and Destroy, Hardpoint, they've all been good. They really have all been good. And it actually, pleases me, to look at this game and what we got. And it all works too. Like the UI works. The game doesn't crash. It's only crashed once on me so far. Um, Lobbies work. All that jazz works, which is good, which is what you want. So as long as they keep it up and keep doing it, and they keep up with the development and the content, there's no battle pass yet, so maybe that could ruin it in the future. But at this point, there's no battle pass. So as of right now, it seems decent, like better than expected, in my honest opinion. So I think that this game has a bright future ahead of itself. It definitely has a Black Ops feel, but if I'm being honest, even for me, a Black Ops feel is not a bad thing. It's something different. It's something new, fresh, Honestly, and I'm a Modern Warfare fan, but I was sick of it. I was sick of that game. The gameplay, the feel, the vibe. I was honestly sick of it. And this new, fresh era of the 1990s where this game's being taken place in, it's refreshing. It truly is. And I think that, I mean, as much as I hated Black Ops in the past, right now this game actually feels like a breath of fresh air that I want to keep playing. And I do want to keep playing it. I really do. At this point, I don't want to stop playing it. I think it's fun. I think that's enjoyable. And you can go back to it over and over again for now. They could always mess it up. It could always be messed up. Now, I as soon as they begin to mess it up, or as soon as it begins to go downhill, I'll be the first one to say it. I will be, and I won't shy from it either. I'll be the first one to say, like, hey, you know what? This game, it had its time. It was going good, but then it just then it didn't. It just kind of got worse from there. But you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to admit that, I was not either thinking clearly, wasn't taking in the all the precautions. I wasn't taking in all the facts. I was wrong about this. I mean, hell, I that whole rant that I did last week, I mean, I ended up eating my words. I actually enjoy the game. A lot more than, I thought I would. And it's also, well-deserved, well-deserved praise from me. Besides the multiplayer, though, I haven't touched campaign yet. And I'm really excited to, because I heard that the campaign was really good, which actually makes me happy, because I want the game to do well, to be well, to be a good game, to be not only a good story, but like a good multiplayer and a good multiplayer experience, right? And that's what I hope for. And you know what? I could also safely talk about zombies in Black Ops 6 is actually really, really good. I can't lie. I was playing with my brother and my friend, and I'm not even kidding you. Like, I was having so much fun when I was playing zombies, man. Like, round-based zombies in 2024 has never felt so fun than it does right now, if I'm being honest. Right now, there's 2 maps in the game, both really, really good maps. Really fun, different looking maps, different feel maps. But I have to say, both maps are super fun to play on. And just having that kind of fun, surviving zombies in a round-based game on a map where you can, you have to buy doorways, you got to upgrade your guns with the currency that you get by killing zombies, pack-a-punching your guns, getting perks through the perk machines. It's just such a throwback fun that when I played it, I was like, damn, where's Juggernog? Where is Speed Cola? Where is PhD Flopper? Like, and they're all still in the game. And it's just like a big throwback to the times where we used to play Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies, you know, in the, the 2010s, 2000 teens. Like, it was, or not the 2000s, the 2010s. Like, it was just the best. It was the best, when it was good. Back in Black Ops 1, when it was the best. I mean, it's such a throwback, and it's so like, oh, I'm just chilling and having fun. I'm not trying to, be super sweaty and competing with these freaks that just go insane. Not to say that they're still not there. They are there. The freaks are still, running amok. But I gotta say, it's so fun, to play a PvE mode like zombies and not have to actually try that hard, to have fun at this game. It's just so easy. Not to say it's not a challenge. Definitely it is. It is hard, if I'm being honest. Like, I think that the longest that we have survived in Black Ops 6 Zombies was maybe around 22. I think it was 22. And it was still, like, no joke, a lot of fun, And there's an option, in modern day zombies where you can extract from the map. And, some people would say that it's kind of candy ass. You should just take it like a man and, die when you die. But I'll be honest, it kind of brings down a whole new intensity, to zombies. First of all, you get more XP if you are able to extract. And it just kind of brings like a new way of like making it to the extraction point. And, by giving you the option to extract. And it's actually really, really, really fun. I can't lie. I was really enjoying it, my time playing it. And honestly, I think that, I think they're going to add a new map, before the year runs out. So that'll be 3 zombie maps. There's already a pretty decent amount of multiplayer maps. But, for the most part, the zombies maps will be getting one more map. So that'll be up to 3 by the end of the year, I believe. I just think that, it's really good. I can't lie. I mean, like, I guess that extra year of development actually paid off. So, when they were able to develop all these modes and not modes, but just like make the game look and feel good, and not make it feel cheap or like a reskin, or how Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3 was like not much of an upgrade, if I'm being honest. Kind of a downgrade, in my opinion. This is a new, fresh look, fresh taste, and honestly, very, very, very much needed. Like, badly. All right, now on to some NFL talk. Week 8 recap of the week, and some stories that came out that are pretty major in the NFL. So, starting with my team, the Rams beat the Vikings 30-20. I will say, Thursday night game, really exciting Thursday night game. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both played very, very well. Matthew Stafford looked really good. It's going to be weird moving forward because they are both still on the Rams. The trade deadline, I believe, is November 5th, so there's pretty much still time to trade Cooper Kupp. Will they? I don't know. I mean, obviously anything is possible, right? I mean, you know, if they want to, they will. That doesn't mean that they are going to, but anything is on the table for this team right now. But it was good to see them back on the field, beating what people would say maybe was like the number 2 team in the league at that point. Making a statement win, in my humble opinion. I do agree that was a face mask in the end zone. That should have been a face mask. I don't know why they weren't allowed to review it, because it resulted in a safety. I ain't too sure. It might have been that, but that 100% was a face mask. But honestly, I don't think that the Vikings would have been able to score even if we were still up by 8. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think that they would have been able to score. So I think that we were going to win either way. But obviously, when there's a blown call, like a no-call face mask, you're going to get people up in arms about what happened and that the refs gave us the game, which I don't think is true, if I'm being honest. But there's no way to change those people's mind. There is just no way. But I ain't going to apologize. We won the game. We are now 3-4, looking good, playing Seattle next week, who did not look that good against who did they play? Seattle Seahawks. They played the Bills. They lost. The Bills won 31-10. Looked great. Looked awesome. Yeah, I'm feeling confident moving forward to play the Seahawks next week to potentially go to 4-4. And I don't know about save our season, but definitely make playing better than anybody expected. If I'm being completely honest. Moving on though. Browns beat the Ravens 29-24. Jameis Winston comes back and plays for the injured and out for the season, Deshaun Watson, who tore his Achilles. And let me tell you this, guys. That Browns team looked so motivated, so ready to play, so willing to do anything that they could for Jameis Winston. And by the way, Jameis Winston had some all-time quotes in his pregame, his huddle before the game, and his post-game. I mean, talk about just an electric personality in football, on the football field. Somebody that you would want to play for. Somebody who you would want as your quarterback. I mean, listen, this is the NFL. They're going to be evaluating Jameis Winston in every practice to see if he truly deserves to be starting in the NFL. But let me just say this. His words are not what's going to get him the job. But his words definitely are they are definitely helping his case in the future, even if it does not work out with the Browns. I mean, you could not say that you would not want Jameis Winston on your team. I mean, you can just see how much the guys like him, how much he cares about the guys, how much he values them, appreciates them. It is just so great to see that type of energy from someone who has been through the ringer in the NFL, who's been on multiple teams. Teams have given up on him, and him not performing to the best expectations, him realizing that, getting better. I mean, it's just something that you look at and you're like, wow. I mean, you can't think of a better guy to be a quarterback on your team than Jameis Winston. I mean, yeah, sure, you can go for stats and, actual wins and if he's capable. But this guy just looks like he just wants to be a quarterback so badly that he'll do like almost anything to be the starting quarterback. I don't know. I just feel it from him. I feel his effort. I feel his drive. I feel his passion, with everything that he's saying. And then that translates into the field, like him actually trying. And in this case, them winning the game. It's honestly contagious. You want more of that. You want to see more of that. It's just great to see. Moving on. Lions beat the Titans 52 to 14. I mean, there's ain't much to talk about in that one. The Lions are really, really good. They got like the best offense in the league, I think. Texans beat the Colts 23 to 20. This is one of the stories I want to talk about. Through this game, there's a stat from a player that is you pretty much cannot you cannot overlook it. You have to point it out. You have to essentially call out this stat because it's atrocious. Let me see. Anthony Richardson went 10 for 32, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And he actually tapped out in this game. He essentially quit on his team and gave up. Said he was tired. And the Colts ended up benching Anthony Richardson after this. Not to, I mean, like if you look at the stats and look at the performances and look at the games that he's played in, it isn't really that hard to believe. I mean, he was not improving. He was only getting worse. And in the games that he did not play, the team looked better, played better, performed better. And it's just, honestly, kind of a no-brainer. So Joe Flacco will be the starting quarterback for Week 9, and Anthony Richardson has been benched. Now, this hurts Indianapolis because last year, Anthony Richardson was drafted number 4 overall. So it kind of makes it, look, you can kind of see that some just ain't right about this. What was their intention with this guy? Did they see a good quarterback, or did they see someone who they could try to make into a good quarterback? What they saw in college, were they going to try to just completely erase that and morph him into something he's not? Or play to his strengths in the NFL, knowing that his strengths is running and knowing that these are grown men in the NFL that tackle, and when they tackle, it'll hurt. It ain't like college, So, we got a problem here, right? We got a problem because I came across this post, I should say, on X, of recent highly drafted quarterbacks that have been benched, or lack of a better term, failed in the NFL. Like I said, Anthony Richardson, he's only 22 years old. He's been benched. Bryce Young, only 23 years old, benched. Trey Lance, 24, benched. Justin Fields, 25, benched. Will Levis, 25, benched. Zach Wilson, 25, benched. Mac Jones, 25, benched. Kenny Pickett, 26 years old, benched. These are young quarterbacks that you and me can all remember that were drafted early rounds in the NFL draft. And none of them are starting. Not one are starting. So what's the problem here? What are we looking at here? What's the issue? Is it coaching, development, both? Now this tweet that had all these quarterbacks in their ages ended the post saying the NFL has a quarterback development problem. I agree, and just so I can give credit, the account was from Sam Block at the Block Spot on X. This is not good. This is really bad. Now, we as fans, when we watch the NFL, we can see excellence, right? We know what's good and what's bad. Right now, in terms of the quarterback play, we are getting a lot of bad from young guys who just can't really seem to grasp it. Is it actually because of, is it actually because the coaching's bad? Are these quarterbacks bad? Or are we unable to make them good in the NFL? Are we unable to actually make them good enough to be in the NFL and be professional? I think that there is some, truth to this, that, we, that there is a little bit of a lack of coaching, a lack of development. And it all kind of brings it back to what Tom Brady was saying, how the NFL is becoming mediocre in the sense of coaching and developing quarterbacks. He is right on this. Like, he is not just right. He is like 100% right about this. And, I think that there's no way to look at it but look at how many of these quarterbacks have failed and have not been able to blossom and not being able to be put into good systems. And it could be killing a generation. And I don't know. I just feel like this, is happening more and more often. And, how can, how is it going to get better? Do we just need better coaches? Do we just need to develop these players more? Or do we need better drafting? In this case with Anthony Richardson, did they make the right choice? Did they have a goal when they were going to, draft this guy? Did they want to actually have him as the quarterback for what he could do, or for what they could think, or what they thought they could make him do? What they thought they could make him be. I don't know. Definitely seems like, with that post I just read, how many of these quarterbacks have failed because they were all drafted way too high to be backups. They were drafted as franchise quarterbacks, and now they're all backups. Kind of insane when you think about it. And when you truly look at it and look at who has been benched and is now a backup, it is wild. And, we could talk about it even more in the past. Carson Wentz, Mitchell Trubisky. Those guys were also drafted very, very, very high. Sam Darnold kind of got lucky because he found a system that actually, goes and the system that the Vikings are in and the coaches that they have play to his strengths, and he's able to thrive in that situation. So I guess you got to be in the right situation, but it seems like a lot of, teams have something different in mind when it comes to their quarterbacks. Like, do they want to make them, play to their strengths, or do they want to try to make them something that they're not? Packers beat the Jaguars 30-27. Cardinals beat the Dolphins 28-27. The Dolphins kind of came back In that one, they definitely look more competent with Tua Tagovailoa, but still not good enough. The Patriots beat the Jets 25-22. The Patriots are so bad, but so are the Jets. That trade, that Devontae trade ain't looking too good, at least in Devontae's favor. Falcons beat the Buccaneers 31-26. The Falcons are really good, man. They're like really good. They're well coached. They got a good quarterback. They got good players. And so are the Buccaneers. Like, they're really good as well. And, I just think that the Falcons, they're gonna they could potentially win this division. Eagles beat the Bengals 37-17. The Eagles finally get a good performance and beat the Bengals by 20. The Bengals, they had it in the first half. They were sticking around, and they kind of fell apart. Chargers beat the Saints 26-8. This is, wasn't a very pretty game. Not a good game to watch, but the Chargers, led by Jim Harbaugh, are gonna compete. Commanders beat the Bears 18-15. An odd game, Hail Mary game. Jaden Daniels Hail Mary to win it at the end. Broncos beat the Panthers 28-14. Chiefs beat the Raiders 27-20. 49ers beat the Cowboys 30-24. And the Steelers beat the Giants 26-18. Not a whole lot to look at there. The best teams won in that situation easily. No questions asked. Broncos are better. Chiefs are better. 49ers are better. Steelers are better. Now we're really starting to see teams of who they are, for who they are, and what kind of team that they're going to be. Like, the Niners are still going to be good. They've had a shaky, first half of the season. It hasn't been that great. But the Cowboys are, they're a worser team. The Steelers are a far better team than the Giants, and it shows. The Chiefs are still the best team in the league. And the Broncos, as bad as they are, the Panthers are just worse. It's so obvious right now. It's just like, we know who's good and we know who's bad. And that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.